G'day hockey fans, welcome back to Ice HQ here in Reservoir, Melbourne, Australia, home of CCM Australia and the Pro Summer League. I'm going to be joined by my commentary partner, Carl Brewer, and we'll be going over the team list of the Snipers to see how we think they're going to fare compared to last year. But before that, we're going to cut to a conversation with Captain Liam Webster to see what he thinks about the picks that he made a couple weeks ago. Over to you, Liam. Liam Webster, back at it again. Second draft here in the Pro League. You guys had a great season last year, right? We talked about it for the pregame show, just about how you guys went from fourth all the way to the final. Unfortunately, didn't finish how you guys wanted. But in your second draft, I'm sure that it's a bit different. So tell us about the two and kind of your experience.
Look, last year was great. The draft was good fun. The big difference last year it was online, of course. It had to be. This we were able to get in the same room, sit around a table, and it goes with the whole theme of the league. It's an enjoyable time. It's gonna be a fun season.
Yeah, it's all about having fun while playing the best sport in the world, right? Which is ice hockey here. Now, this season as well is very different, right? Last year we all showed up. There was a list. You drafted players. This year we had to protect players. There were off-season trades. I can imagine the GM and the coaches chatting, going back and forth. The Bruins were very aggressive in the trade market, and they picked up one of your players. Tell me about what it's like losing Mikey James.
They did. Jordan was very aggressive, very active in the trades. MJ Mikey was my first overall pick with the Snipers. He was just a bit too good looking. I had to sort of even the playing field for the rest of us.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Sounds great. Mikey James, one good looking bloke. So this team you put together, you got a mix of some of your other players from last season, right? You brought back some of the old Snipers, but you brought in some new talent as well. What kind of style of player are you looking to have this upcoming season?
Hopefully we've drafted a few young ones, so hopefully they'll have some good legs to take care of us older guys. But then on the flip side, we've got a bit of experience there to help guide the younger ones, make sure they're on the right path, make sure we're all in it, all pushing the right direction. So
I think that's what we saw really great from last season, right? You had the great mix of young and old. You seemed to learn from that. It seemed to work, and it allowed you guys to progress as the season get better, and hopefully you go one better this season. So that's it, Liam. Thank you so much. We're really looking forward to January and the season started, and we're going to cut back to you, Anton, in the studio. Well, it's glad to hear that Liam had a lot of fun with the live draft this season, Carl. I know I had a lot of fun here. Seemed like it was a little bit more interactive than it was when we did it online last season. Liam had a very interesting draft, picked up a lot of the same players he had last year. They've only got two guys that are different than the squad that they came with last year, and one of those was one of the young kids from the Junior Summer League, Spencer Nave. And Liam mentioned a lot last year how they like to have the good mix of veterans and young players and work on the development. It forces everyone to play a hard style and be committed to that one dream. And they're looking to go one better, right? Because they made it there from fourth all the way to the final. They at the end they did a really good job. What do you think of the team list?
The big transition for the Snipers last season was about a third of the way through the season when they picked up Michael McMahon. They had Lockie Cincotta, who enormous talent, but like a lot of inexperienced, immature players, he needed that grounding from Michael. And I remember speaking with Michael afterwards and said, look, what magic wand did you wave to improve this team? And he basically said, what players start off, when they start coming in, they're trying to do everything. And Lockie was trying to do everything as a defenseman. And he basically teamed up with him as a line pair, and they became much harder to score against because they started concentrating on what they needed to do, which is doing your job and doing it well. Not trying to do everything, but doing your particular job. And I think when McMahon came on board and started playing with Cincotta, the difference in that team was chalk and cheese. It totally changed the way they work.
You're 100% right there. And, looking at the protected list, right, you got McMahon, you got Cincotta on there, right? Cincotta and McMahon, going to be great. They got a lot of other good experience, right? Liam Webster, Michael McMahon, captain and assistant captain from the Ducks, right? Yeah. They're going to bring that leadership. And interesting this season as well is that aggressive trade strategy from the Bruins moved the first overall pick last season, which was for the Snipers. Mikey James over to the Bruins, and they're going with that young Tommy Forrest, who stood on his head a lot last season in the Pro League. And he's going to be backed up as well with the ever-experienced Damian Holland. So this goaltending tandem looks great. You got one of the young stars in the game, backed up by one of the smartest goaltenders that we have in the country. I see Tommy taking that next step and really solidifying that back end there for the Snipers.
No one's going to forget that magical save he made in that Ducks game last season. I think that was superb.
I think you had to hold me in my seat for that one.
Bouncing off the wall.
Gaping net, and everyone in this arena would have thought that Brisbane Rampage were going to score, but Tommy Forrest said no.
The other players that were picked up in the draft, and some of them that have come over from other teams, one of those is Alex Koenig, who's now moved from the Dogs over to the Snipers. And this is a player that I love to watch. No one works harder than Alex. He goes in the corners, he plays hard, he plays with a little bit of grit, but he's also great either on wing or in the center, amazing in the dot. And last year we used to say quite a bit, he's like a dog with a bone, and we might have to come up with a little bit of a better moniker this year, seeing as though he's with the Snipers. But I think that's a great pickup for Liam and this team.
Oh, absolutely. But for mine, one of the things that the Snipers are really going to benefit from is Liam Webster's face-offs. If you think about a face-off as being the set play in the game of hockey, there aren't an awful lot of set plays, but that's absolutely a set play. And Liam has that ability to win the ones that matter. You can win a high percentage of them, and sometimes they matter and sometimes they don't. Maybe some face-offs are more or less critical than others. But certainly defensive zone face-offs and offensive zone face-offs create or deny scoring opportunities, and there is simply no one better than Liam Webster at the face-off, in that part of his game, as well as creating opportunities and so forth. But I think that's going to be one of the big difference makers for the Snipers. And as you say, last season there was a massive change in that team. This season they're more solid. They're going to be more gelled right from the start. So they're going to be a real threat.
Yeah, for sure. Versatility was one of the things on draft night that Liam was talking to me about when I was asking him on his picks. And you look at a lot of the players that they have, they can play multiple positions. Like I said, Koenig on any of the kind of forward positions. They also brought back Lucas Subert, right? He can be D, he can be forward. They got Brendan Connors as well, who's coming new to the team. He as well, prevalent on defense, but also can go up and play the wing. And just looking at that team last year, mid-season, when they made that change, and started to climb up the ladder, was really buoyed by the defensive structure. And they've brought back a lot of those players like Kevin Payne.
It's interesting to see guys like Lazzarotto, they're quite dangerous too. They're a little bit unsung at times, but they're the sort of forwards who put pressure on a defensive player. It's often, you look at defensive players and you often think they're big, and they're big because they give the hits. It's actually not really the reason for it. In full contact hockey, those defensive players are big because they have to take hits and keep going. So say a puck gets dumped down into the corner, the forward can skate down, maybe they get it, maybe they cut off a line, whatever. D has to go and get it. So you need those big, strong guys. And the Snipers have got some forwards who can put some real pressure on some of the smaller defensive players from the other teams. And I think they're going to get a lot of turnarounds from that. So I'll be looking for Lazzarotto, Webster, Robbie Clark, and so forth to really put some pressure deep in and get changeovers deep in the team.
So you mentioned Robbie Clark, obviously, big sniper player last year, 8 goals for them, led the team for a team that, lacked some scoring options. But you mentioned the big bodies, right, you needed on defense. The game has obviously changed over the years, right? A couple decades ago, you needed these big bodies, big physical fighting, all that sort of stuff. But the game's really moved more to possession, quick, speed. You look in the NHL, guys like Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, these defenders that really move the puck. And if you look at the Snipers, they've got a number of really young players that they've brought back that really saw a lot of development, right? Guys like Logan Gallagher, back, Cy Lake, back, Josh Van Douwen, back, Nick Monroe. These are all players born right after 2000, and
missed the big party.
Missed the big party, but really going to see that extra step, and they know how to play with that speed hockey, and as you said, move the puck up and get it to those forwards that are going to put the puck back in the net. This is an exciting team, right? Liam talked about having the perfect mix of young and old, developing it and having a lot of fun. They've got great room guys, they've got great scorers, they've got, in my opinion, one of the better tandems in the league there with young Tommy Forrest and Damian Holland. I think really, this team, I would not be surprised if they were able to go one better than last year.
They're absolutely a genuine threat. And you mentioned the change in the way the game's played from that old truculent style of hockey that we all love to that real transition game and fast breaks. And that's been such a huge change in the way the game is structured everywhere, and we see it here. And I think Snipers, you're absolutely right. They'd be number one pick for putting real pressure on the Dogs to take the crown.
Well, look, I know last season when the Snipers were in 4th, right? You and I had a little side bet in the side after Coach gave me one of those Snipers hats. I said to you, Brent Laver gave me this hat, and I think this team are going to go all the way and win it. Now I was wrong in the end. They couldn't beat the Doggies, but you never know. This year could be the year for the Snipers, and I don't think any of us will take this team for granted this season. Everyone will have to play hard against Liam-led Sniper team. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're looking forward to see you guys in January. Make sure you follow all the socials and keep up to date, and we'll be back with you guys soon.